Hey guys, this is a walkthrough of the MixPad app for the DLive system. This is really an internal video for our own team for training. However, most of these things are pretty universal. If you're using the DLive app, you might find some value from this, so stick around. Okay, here we are with the DLive MixPad app. The first thing you're going to want to do, and I don't want to, obviously for security purposes, don't want to show this portion, but you will have to connect to your local Wi-Fi that's set up for the monitor packs. You'll want to go ahead and connect to that Wi-Fi in your system settings. After you do that, you can go ahead and launch up the DLive Mixpad app, and this is what you'll be presented with. And again, this is for our team, but you may find it useful to see how we're using it. So when you first launch up the app, you're going to be presented with these options. You can demo it. This is the name of our Mixpad rack. So you're going to go ahead and hit connect. Once that comes up, you're going to be presented with a couple of different user levels. We've gone ahead and set up one called monitors for any band members that need to adjust their monitor mixes. So you're going to select that and you're going to go ahead and hit login. All right, so here's the scary interface that you're going to be presented with. So we're going to walk you right through it. So this is just sort of a list of everything you could do. We don't need to get into every area of it. So when you first launch it up, what you're going to want to do is go to routing here on the top tab. And then we've set up some custom areas to kind of pare down all the things you have to look at, just so it's not so overwhelming. You're going to go to custom here on the right. And then down here on the bottom, you're going to also go to custom. So once you're in this state where you choose routing, custom, custom. So once you do that, you are sort of in the mode of editing a monitor mix with all the things you'll need. So on the top here is whose monitor mix you're editing. This is a list of all of the aux channels that we have set up. And then on the bottom here is a list of things you're going to want to turn up or down. So as you can see on the first custom button, we have all of the instruments. We have all the drums. As you scroll across, we have guitars, electric guitars, pianos, pads, everything is in that first custom button. In the second custom button, you have all of the vocal mics, all the talkbacks, room mics, speaker mics, and also music and video. So basically this first button is all the instruments, the second button is everything else, but mostly starting with vocal mics. So that's where you'll go to turn things up and down. Let's talk about actually editing a mix. We'll go ahead and edit my wife's mix here, Joe. So if I was going to edit her mix, what I'd want to do is double tap on this channel here. And when you double tap on it, hopefully you can see right here, there's a little mix button that shows in blue. You're going to want to ensure that that is selected or that that is on before you start changing a mix. Otherwise, you could be potentially changing everyone's mix. So you want to be really careful. We're looking in ways in the future of locking this down even more, but currently you want to just double tap your channel. Make sure that it shows the mix icon there, and then on the top right, that your name, the name of your mix appears on the top right. So those two things will help you verify. The mix button is highlighted, and your name is on the top right. This other one next to it is just what you happen to have selected. So if you selected that you wanted to change the snare, you'll see the snare changes here. So this is just a selection notification. It doesn't really do anything besides just telling you what you've selected. All right, after that, there's a couple of things that we want to, for now, just make sure you're aware of areas to stay away from is muting and this PAFL button. So this is going to solo that channel and mute that channel. The unfortunate thing is that will solo and mute that for everyone currently. So please don't touch those buttons for the moment. We're still working on ways to secure that down. But for now, you're basically just changing the slider levels, these fader levels here. So let's walk through a scenario. Say Mariah, we're going to go ahead and select her, and say she wants more acoustic 1. So she'll double tap her name. Mix is showing here, the little blue mix button. Also, her name is on the top right. So we're ensured that we're only editing Mariah's mix. And then we're going to go to acoustic 1, and we're going to just turn it up a little bit. Pretty important thing to remember is these mixes are stereo, so small changes make big differences. So when you first start changing these, I recommend instead of feeling like you're touching this and moving it, You'll end up moving it quite a bit if you do that. I recommend touching it and then sort of rolling your finger. If you roll it, you'll be able to make a much more small adjustment to it. So make small adjustments rather than big leaps, because it makes a big difference in your ears. Other than that, that's most of the basics. Some things to be aware of on a more global level is our pad. The pad can be pretty overwhelming in your mix. If you have a lot of pad, it can really sort of mess up your mix. It takes a lot of sonic space, so if you're ever struggling to hear things, just pay attention. Is the pad too loud? That could be an area that you could turn down to really save your mix. Another thing is just, in general, eliminating things from your mix that you don't necessarily need. Really, vocalists probably don't need tons of drums. That's going to be more of an instrumentation thing that a musician might want. So I recommend for a vocalist, and you can see Mariah is following that actually. So all the drums are fairly low. She's going to want to have the click going, obviously, so she can maintain her timing, which is here. So she has a good amount of that. Herself is the loudest thing in the vocals, and then all the other vocalists are under that, which is probably great, so she can hear herself really well. So yeah, this is probably a pretty great kind of model setup for a vocalist. Musicians are going to be a little different. Obviously, musicians are going to have their instrument probably the loudest thing. And like this is the bass, so you can see the kick and the snare are pretty heavy. And as we go across, the bass is obviously the loudest thing, so that makes sense. You are allowed to pan things. Usually this is more of a musician thing. A musician can pan, so tom 2 is pan to the left and tom 2 is pan to the right. What that's going to do is give you more of a sense of space. So while you have your mix going, it feels like you're actually in a room with both, if you're using both ears in, which I do recommend for your hearing. Running both ears in. And again, you're going to find with both ears in, if you're used to playing with one ear in, both ears in is going to feel loud at first. So you're going to want to turn your pack down substantially. To start off with, I wouldn't recommend turning your pack over like half the volume, like halfway up, until you get used to where you're at. If you're having to turn up more than that, there's probably something else going wrong. So you want to just touch base with the front of house guy if that's the issue, or if that's the case for you. Yeah, so other than that, that is just about everything you'll need to know. So just a quick refresh. When you first launch it, it's going to look like this. You're going to come to routing to show all of your in-ear monitor mixes. You're going to come down to make sure this says custom on the right here. And then at the bottom, you don't want to edit these inputs. You want to come down to the custom ones. And these are all of our in-ear versions of the instruments that you want to adjust. So you go to routing, custom, custom. And that'll about do it. That was a run through of the MixPad app for the DLive system. I hope that was helpful to you and you found some value from it. Peace.